Welcome back to Yang Daily. I'll be your host, Alex Cheney, bringing you all the Yang news you need to live your life right. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Sorry for being a bit late. Sunday was another birthday celebration. I'm accruing family units along with my years, and each requires their own event. It was the first time everyone was vaccinated, so we got to let our masks down finally, so that was fun. We've still got plenty of news to catch up on. I'll do my best to get another short episode out today or early tomorrow. Today we're tackling some UBI items and an informative tale on misinformation, which ended up taking more time than I expected. It's important, though. Let's dig in. Quick shout out to our Tier 3 patrons, Peter Park, Shay Meehan, and Nathan Stankowski, as well as all our other patrons. You keep us all informed and engaged. If any of you out there want to join these advocates of humanity first and independent journalism, head on over to patreon.com/YangDaily. It would only take a couple of bucks a month from each listener to keep this podcast and community going and growing into the future. Now on to the news. Have you ever wondered how the anti-vaccine movement that has now led to tens of thousands of deaths got started? I only knew it was from parents confusing causation with correlation, but the story is much more interesting and instructive than that. As it turns out, it was basically down to one immoral scientist, the media, and the perverse profit incentives that encouraged both of them. The short of it is that ex-doctor Andrew Wakefield, who since lost his medical license for the malpractice we're about to dig into, conducted what he called a study into his hypothesis that bowel disorders may be related to autism. The reason I put study in heavy quotations here is because it consisted of asking a dozen parents of autistic kids with bowel disorders what the parents think might have caused it, and about half listed the MMR vaccine. Seriously, that's it. That's the entire body of evidence that ignited the movement. That is not a scientific study, that is a survey. It's literally just random opinions from random people. It couldn't be less scientific. Unsurprisingly, the parents' uninformed hypotheses had little to no basis in fact. Autism is a condition whose symptoms arise subtly and slowly over years before an average parent will get the impression that something is different about their child. And, rather important detail, it tends to become noticeable at the same age that kids are given the MMR vaccine. And since we humans are trained by evolution to associate recent events as being causally related, when you ask a parent who just discovered that their child is autistic what they think the cause might be, they are very likely to associate it with a recent event, and there's a good chance they're going to recall a recent vaccination, even though their child has been autistic for years. An actual causal relationship would require a significant difference in rates of autism between vaccinated and non-vaccinated populations, which, surprise, surprise, does not exist. However, that of course did not stop the ex-doctor from concluding, based on zero evidence of any kind, that autism and the MMR vaccine may be linked. While this paper said further study would be needed, he quickly called a press conference and told the world that MMR vaccines must cease immediately because they're putting kids in danger. Had the media looked into the study and done any of the due diligence a responsible journalist would, the story would have been that Wakefield is a quack spreading misinformation. Would you like to guess what they did? Not that. They ran with Wakefield's story for years, scaring the hell out of parents with baseless fears and fear-mongering about what they depicted as the horrors of an autistic child. Why? Because sensationalism gets views, and views make profit. Speaking of profit, one actual journalist found that ex-Dr. Wakefield had serendipitously filed a patent for a delivery method of the measles vaccine, one of the 3 vaccines in the combined MMR shot that he, just 6 months later, would falsely tell the world was a vehicle for autism. Strangely enough, Wakefield never advised against any of the 3 vaccines in the MMR shot. He only advised administering them separately, which he said would, for some reason, avoid his mythical autism process. Coincidentally, when parents started asking for the measles vaccine on its own under his advice, Wakefield was ready with his own measles vaccine patented just 6 months before. What a remarkable coincidence! Wakefield's petty profiteering and the media's support of it is why we will never get rid of COVID, why there have been outbreaks of diseases that should have been long gone, why some parents think that autism is a condition worse than death, despite some of the most intelligent and successful people in the world being autistic. It has, of course, also encouraged anti-scientific thought and other conspiracy cults like QAnon, Trump's voter fraud, and climate change deniers, which have resulted in untold deaths and destruction, most of which is not obvious. This is how ignorance overruns empirical fact and drags us back to the Dark Ages. If you ever wonder why Yang or others in the Humanity First movement are passionate about reforming incentives in news media and fighting misinformation, remember this. For more details, please see the video below, which somehow manages to infuse a great deal of humor into this tragic issue while still being informative. While about 88% of parents are set to receive automatic payments from the new child allowance, some of the poorest families will miss out despite being eligible because they don't file taxes and don't know they need to. An estimated 47% of eligible parents are not aware of the revisions to the child tax credit, showing both that Democrats have failed to take proper credit for this great achievement and how even the simplest conditions can hamstring welfare. It's exactly why UBI proponents oppose conditions and why we want cash aid handled by the Social Security Administration instead of the IRS. We also need to help spread the word to everyone about the child allowance, both to make sure everyone gets it and to complete the important feedback loop of democracy. If people don't know what their representatives are doing, they don't make informed decisions when voting. People need to know that the Democrats made this near UBI for kids happen. They need to know that their vote can make more things like this happen. The IRS will be opening 2 web portals for non-filers to receive child tax benefits in late June and for any American to update their family information. Speaking of UBI, Washington State may soon see their basic income pilot in Tacoma extended to a county. Councilmember Dave Upthegrove, what a name, is urging a study into a basic income pilot in King County. Go Dave! If you live in King County, let your council members know your thoughts on this. If you live elsewhere, pressure your council members to do the same. And wherever you live, spread the word so more people can join you. Finally, remember the basic income pilot for artists in San Francisco? Well, our old pal CEO Twitter Jack Dorsey just made another donation to the UBI cause that will extend the pilot to last 18 months and allow the program to accept 50 more artists. Thank you, Jack. And that'll do it for today's Yang Daily. Bookmark and share the anti-vax video, spread the word on the King County basic income proposal and get your council to join in, inform people about the child allowance, flood Congress with calls, tweets, faxes, and letters using the ResistBot or Income Movement easy contacts below. If you need help, consult Humanity Forward, the Income Movement Aid Database, the Mission Asset Fund, or United Way, and don't forget to Yang Daily.